So anyway, welcome everyone. We're excited about having this special meeting. It's not one we usually have. We don't usually meet the third Sunday, but we have a special guest, which I'll introduce before he speaks, John. So welcome to the monthly presentation. Actually, this is a 2-month presentation of the Vegetarian Society of Hawaii. So without any more ado, I want to introduce our speaker here, John Pierre. I've only talked to him a little bit, but I do know one good thing about him, and he's from Colorado. And I'm excited about that. I want to tell you a little more about him. He has a special work that he does with rescuing animals, and I don't know how much he's going to share about that at this talk. But he is trying to get a place secured where he can have animal refuge, kind of maybe like they have in Maui. Did you ever go to see the one in Maui? Okay, so he went to that one, the Lani Farms. And if any of you get our newsletters, you can read about the Lani Farms. And the director of Lani Farms, I forgot her name, but she was a speaker about 4 months ago in Oahu, so you can watch her talk. So he also has a special work in rescuing children. And he works with the foundation raising income to rescue children that are victims of sex, they're sex slaves. And it's a pretty amazing, very risk-taking work. He doesn't actually rescue the children, he just raises the money. It's the Navy SEALs that risk their lives. They go into these brothels and rescue these children. But he's also a vegan, and he's really educated in the area of health and nutrition. He's going to talk about the pillars of health tonight. And I guess he has 3 hours worth of information he could share with you. And if you want to sit here that long, I'm sure he'd be willing to share with you. But he's going to try to cut it down to an hour. And from what I heard, the last 2 talks he's done in Maui and also in Oahu, they were very good. He doesn't use any PowerPoint, doesn't use any of the slides, he just gets up and talks. He's also in the Hall of Fame, is that right? Of vegetarianism. I didn't even know there was a Hall of Fame. Someday I'd like to be in that, So I don't know where it is. Where is it?
That's Vegetarian Summerfest, which is the North American Vegetarian Society.
Okay.
So they induct like Dr. Campbell and Dr. Clapper, just prolific speakers and so forth.
Names, yeah, so that's kind of cool. I never even knew there was somebody from the Hall of Fame in vegetarianism, but we have him here tonight, and maybe that's why we have so many people here. That I expected, maybe only 10, 15, and I think there's close to 30 here. So I'll give us a warm welcome for John Pierre.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
And you want to move this?
No, that's okay. We'll keep
that?
that and put that up there. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming tonight. It's great to see a big crowd. I was in Oahu and then Maui, so we had some nice fun there. I'll tell you a little bit about myself and what I do, and then I'd like to get into my first book that I wrote, The Pillars of Health. So I've been vegan for over 35 years, and I've been teaching plant-based nutrition or vegan nutrition for over 30 and fitness. And I've worked with abused women for just as long, for 30 years. My background really is most known for my work in geriatrics. So over 25 years ago, I created the first brain building programs in the United States using a plant-based diet and then nutraceuticals, certain nutrients for the brain, along with different physical exercises, kind of like a boot camp to develop new neuroplasticity for seniors, and then a lot of mental different exercises and games for seniors. And that 25 years ago was really before anyone was even talking about it. There wasn't the PBS specials or all the books out there. And so it really kind of spread like wildfire. So I was all over the country teaching these programs, which I was very happy about because I think it's something that we needed back then, and we definitely need it now with seniors. But unfortunately, we need it even earlier. We need younger and younger people to start partaking in that. And I'll talk a little bit about that today. As Thomas said, I do work with Project Child Save. It's projectchildsave.org, which is an organization that rescues children from trafficking. And as you know, trafficking is one of the most scariest things that could ever take place for any human being. It's right under drug trafficking, and unfortunately, now the drug traffickers and the sex traffickers are working basically together, so they're almost equal in terms of the amount of money and damage they do. But the team that I work with, Project Child Save, what they do is they go into brothels around the country, or around the world actually, and they rescue children. So since I don't do that, I don't go in the doors and kick the doors down. What I do is I make sure that when the kids get rescued, they have a pair of shoes, because most of the kids don't have shoes. So I collect that, and then I collect toys for the kids, because when they get rescued, these soldiers are in full camo and everything, and they're breaking doors down, and there's explosions, and they're terrified. So when they see the soldiers giving them a toy, they know they're safe and they're being rescued. So I do that, and then I collect vegan candy bars and snacks for the kids, so when they're on the planes and they're being rescued, they have a good, healthy snack. And then I also collect different products for the team, so to keep them healthy, so vegan smoothie mixes and things like that. So that's just some of the work that I do out in Boulder, Colorado. I also work with the Colorado Pet Pantry. So what we do is we give pet food to low-income and homeless people, because many of them, of course, when you're homeless or even low-income, everybody needs a companion, and oftentimes those animals suffer because the people can't even afford to feed themselves sometimes. So we have to take care of them best we can. So it's some of the work that I do, and then of course animal activism I've been doing since I started. My first oral report in high school over 35 years ago. The first one was animal rights and then women's rights. So right out of high school, it's the same thing I've been doing. I'm 53 now, so I haven't stopped doing it. It's the same work that I've been doing since high school. So anyways, I'd like to talk a little bit about my first book, The Pillars of Health. I have another book called Strong, Savvy, Safe, which is a women's guide to self-defense and safety, but we won't cover that today. We're going to cover my first one. And I'd been taking notes on the book for years and years and years, but I just never had time to do it. I never had time. I was always busy. And then I was training Ellen DeGeneres, and one day Ellen said to me, she goes, JP, somebody's going to call you to write a book. And I was like, what? I said, quit stalling, Ellen. Get doing those push-ups. And basically, because she was always telling jokes. She was very funny. She's a wonderful lady and always telling jokes. And I was like, I didn't know what she was talking about. And basically, practically leaving her house, my phone is ringing, and somebody is calling me to do a book because they really liked the work that I was doing. She really promoted what I was doing. She said, it's the most fun that she's ever had is working with me. And so basically then that was the pressure to get this book done. Luckily, I had all the notes. I had basically chapters already designed. I just didn't have the time to put it together. But since she opened the door, I took off and did that. So I was glad I did. The publisher wanted everything that I've taught in all these years, which is the book is about plant-based eating or vegan nutrition, fitness, enhancing cognitive functioning, which was really my specialty in geriatrics, and then the most important topic, which is love and compassion. So I'd like to briefly cover those today. I've been speaking on the other islands for an hour and a half, and I just get warmed up after about 2 hours. So I'm going to try really hard to make this as fast as I can, and I'm just going to cover highlights, okay? You're welcome to raise your hand if you have a question. I don't have a speech memorized, so you're not going to bother me if you ask questions. You can ask all the questions you want, but I only want to allocate a certain amount of time to each chapter because there's so much to say. In my office in Chicago, when I was seeing clients, it was like a revolving door of one client after another and another. And the one thing that all these clients I start seeing had in common was premature aging. So a client would come in that would be 40 years of age, and they would present with different disorders and diseases that somebody maybe 50 or 60 or even 70 would have. And I'd have kids come in 12 years old, 270 pounds. So diabesity. So obviously diabetes and obesity and heart disease, of course. And we know when children are killed in automobile accidents as young as 3, when they autopsy their body, we see plaque or a little bit of plaque in the arteries. So we know by the time they're teenagers, 12, 13, 14, they have measurable blockages already in their arteries. So we know that for sure. So this boy here, 12 years old, 270 pounds, aside from diabetes and obesity and for sure heart disease, imagine the emotional problems that this boy had at 12. He couldn't even look at me. He came in with his parents, and I was taking notes before they came in. All of a sudden, 3 people walked in, and it looked like it was like a man-child. I mean, it was a 12-year-old little kid, a giant. And he sat on the couch with his parents, and he couldn't even look at me. His eyes were down the whole time. His self-esteem was gone. And so it was very scary when I started seeing this. And of course, other people would come in, adults, and they would have early stages of mental loss. Cognitive functioning was declining rapidly. And we'd see people that were extremely obese, And people that just had all sorts of disorders, you know, they could not even, young people that I was working with, couldn't even get on the floor and then up off the floor, which, by the way, is a biomarker of aging. One of the most important things we look at is how well can somebody get on the floor and get up off the floor. That's a very important marker of how well they're functioning. Because if you go into Indonesia and Asia and you look at some of these cultures, especially like the blue zones, where people live the longest, but they have the least disability, which is the most important. Living long isn't important for most people if you can't function. So these blue zones, they not only live the longest, but they have the least disability. And all these people have the ability to squat down, get down on the floor. They eat this way. They play games this way. They go to the restroom that way. They can get up and down. They sleep on the floor. And people, especially in Indonesia, they say, well, it's because they're Asian. No, it's not because they're Asian. It's because they live an active lifestyle and they eat a healthy food. They have social interactions. They do all the things that you're supposed to do, right? But none of these clients that I were seeing were doing any of that. And the challenge from a dietary standpoint, when I look at food diaries, I saw the same thing all the time. Just like the stats we see today, about 92% of our diet is processed foods and animal products. So most of what we're eating in America is processed foods and animal products, about 92% or so. The stats change. Let's just say there's 8% plant matter there. That's already abysmal. That's unbelievable. Because when we look at the people who live the longest in the world, we can see 90 to almost 100% of their diet is plant matter, 0 processed, and so a small percentage of animal products, right? But most of it's plant matter. So when I'm looking at people's food diaries, I'm seeing all this processed foods, and here's the problem. The government, and this is not a joke, this is serious, the government considers a serving of French fries as a serving of vegetables. They consider a serving of ketchup or tomato paste or sauce as a serving of vegetable. So when I say 8% statistically, that's not really even accurate. It's really less than that because we can't really consider French fries a serving of vegetables that have been fried and greased and salted, sugared and everything. We can't consider that. And ketchup, yeah, you know, ketchup is a good source of lycopene, and so is tomato sauce. To be honest and fair, it is a good source of lycopene, but it's also loaded with sugar and sodium. So that's not really a perfect thing. So what I was seeing is all these clients coming in had the same types of diets, same thing, all high in animal products, you know, all animal products, and all white flour, white bread, no fiber at all. And I don't know how many people here are vegetarian or vegan or raw food or whatever you are. It doesn't matter. We're not here to point you out. But I just want you to understand that when you look at processed foods, not only is there no nutrients in processed foods, right? There's no micronutrients. You're not going to see lutein and zeaxanthin and selenium and chromium, right? And beta-carotene and alpha-carotene. None of that's there, right? But that's not even the worst part. That's nothing. That's the least of your problems. When the average person in America is eating 150 pounds of sugar per person, that's the average. Now, I don't eat 150 pounds of sugar a year, so somebody else is eating more, right? So 150 is the average. Now, here's the problem. When you're eating all this processed food, and I'm just picking on sugar now. I'm not getting into hydrogenated oils and artificial colors and NutraSweet and all that. Let's just talk about sugar for a second. Every time you're eating refined sugar, in order to turn that sugar into energy, your body uses nutrients to convert sugar into energy. So things like chromium, which is a cofactor with insulin, is critical. That's gone for sure. It's not even in our soil anymore, barely, chromium, like selenium. But your body's going to use up whatever there is left to metabolize this. And then here's the big one. I need you to memorize this. Write this down, memorize it. Is the one thing that sugar's gobbling up are B vitamins. Yeah. And B vitamins are critical for normal metabolism. And here's the big one. Normal cognitive and neurological functioning. So when you have a diet low in B vitamins, this is not working for sure, and your nervous system's not working for sure, and your metabolism is not working. Okay, and then there's other things, of course, like magnesium. Magnesium controls over 350 different enzymatic processes in the body, and one of them is ATP production. ATP is the energy currency of the body. If you don't have ATP, you don't have energy. So all the sugar that these kids are eating, and adults, and especially, here's the sad one, senior citizens, are causing massive nutrient problems. Now, I just want you to just think about this analogy for a second, and you'll see how scary this is. If you have a combination lock, And the combination is 5, 10, 15. And I give you the lock, and you punch and you dial in 5, 10, 14. Is the lock going to open? No. Well, I'm only off by one number, though. Is it not going to open? And that's the same thing with your brain. You can be off by one nutrient, one of those B vitamins. Oops, neurotransmitters not getting made, right? Now all of a sudden you're going to have impulse control issues, depression, mood problems, right? Just because you didn't get one nutrient in. So you need to understand that you need a full spectrum of nutrients in your diet, but one thing you can't have is you can't have a hole in your boat because you're going to start taking on water and sink. So you need to make sure that your diet is maximized for full body functions, not just for your brain, for everything. For everything. I talked about, the other day I was talking about how important legumes were. And a lot of vegans don't eat enough legumes, beans, peas, or lentils. They're not getting enough of them. And there's certain nutrients in legumes. There's an amino acid called lysine. And lysine is a limiting amino acid in a vegan diet. If you're not getting enough legumes, you're probably not getting enough lysine. And lysine helps with protein synthesis, calcium absorption. It helps form carnitine. And carnitine shuttles fatty acids through the mitochondria to burn as energy. So if you're missing lysine, then your body can't form carnitine, right? And so then all of a sudden you're in big, big trouble. So if you don't eat enough legumes or quinoa, you could eat quinoa, but most people aren't eating enough, then you're in trouble. Question?
So how much of a difference is canned beans compared to dry beans?
Oh, that doesn't matter if they're canned in terms of the amino acid content. You don't have to worry about that. What you do, I mean, beans in general, anytime you heat anything, you're going to lose some of the water-soluble, heat-soluble B vitamins a little bit, and vitamin C. But certain times when you cook or heat things, like lycopene from tomato sauce, it increases the absorption. So you can't eat beans raw. You could sprout them possibly, but
If it's very canned.
it doesn't matter. That's fine. If it's canned or dried, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So we need to get a full spectrum of these nutrients in our diet, and all the clients that I'm seeing weren't getting it, is what I'm trying to say. That's the bottom line. But the one thing that they weren't getting the most of, okay, especially the vegan crowd, and this may pertain to you. I'm not pointing fingers. I don't know. But they weren't getting enough green matter. A lot of them got a lot of fruit. They're pounding fruit because it's sweet. And a lot of them were getting tons of grains, but a lot of them were refried grains. And, you know, sometimes they're getting some beans and things like that. But vegetables, that was their one limiting factor. They were not getting enough vegetables. Now, let me ask you a question. Just be fair and honest. We're not asking you, we're not making a judgment. Put your ego aside. But generally, do greens taste as good as fruits?
No.
Do they taste as good as grains? Okay, we can go on and on. The reason why is because when you eat greens, they're so low in calories, right? You don't get a dopamine blast. So you don't get this pleasure chemical. But when you eat sugar, dopamine goes through the roof. When you eat fat, dopamine goes through the roof. So it's not your fault. It's our natural evolution that we don't want to be out there eating 40 heads of lettuce in nature when an animal could be attacking us. We're looking for the foods that have the highest value in terms of calories, not nutrients, but calories. So we're evolutionarily, however you want to believe it, we're designed to eat foods that are high in calories, okay? The problem is that we still are living in an environment that's stressful, pollution in the air, we have toxins in the water, we exercise, which creates free radicals. We're doing all these things that we still need to protect our body. And the food that protects our body the most is green leafy vegetables. Fruits, you know, fruits too, but particularly green leafy vegetables.
What do you call green? What do you, when you say green?
And any vegetable for right now, but basically we want to be making sure we get kale, bok choy, Swiss chard, you know, leafy stuff. So, I mean, broccoli, a cruciferous vegetables, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, those are superfoods too, but just more vegetables. That's it. Don't worry about what type, just more vegetables. And so I want to tell you 2 quick ways that I would recommend getting more vegetables in your diet. Just 2 simple ways. Every day you should do 1 or 2 of these or both of them. If you did both of them, wow, that's pretty powerful. Is every day get a smoothie in. And I'm saying a green smoothie, not a fruit smoothie. Okay, that's the problem because there's a lot of vegan doctors that are anti-smoothies. They come to my lecture and afterwards they say it was brilliant because what you're saying made sense. Because I didn't say a fruit smoothie. I'm saying a green smoothie, or you can call it a blended soup. It doesn't matter. It's one or the other. Doesn't matter which one. But basically what we're looking for is for you to get as much vegetables as you can in a drink. Now, why should we put it in a drink? Why don't we just sit and eat 4, 5, 6 plates of vegetables? Why do you think that I'm not encouraging that? Not that it's wrong, but why do you think I'm telling you to do a smoothie instead of... What? It's not practical. When you hear people saying that having smoothies isn't as good as eating the vegetables, they're right. It's far better if you're going to eat, for an hour and a half and graze, like a baboon or some sort of animal, a silverback gorilla, that's fine, but it's not realistic. So that's when I work with kids in the inner city, do you think in the morning their parents are going to make them some Swiss chard with squeeze a little lemon and then have a nice big bowl of blueberries, right? And then a glass of almond milk? That's not happening. But if we put all that together in a blender and a child takes 1 or 2 gulps, that's more antioxidants than that child might get in 3 weeks. So it's realistic to do this. If you don't want to do it and you want to eat it, hallelujah. You're far better than most everybody out there. But I'm trying to give you what I found for my clients is realistic. The other problem is even if you wanted to do this for an hour and a half, senior citizens don't masticate well. They don't chew very well, right? They don't have good hydrochloric acid and digestive enzymes. So they're not breaking apart the cell wall and they can't extract nutrients very well. So there's 2 groups that smoothies and blended soups are, let's just say for argument's sake, non-negotiable. That would be children and senior citizens. Children are not going to sit down because they're so excited to go play. They're not going to sit down for an hour and a half meal. But if we blend that for them, and even if they take a half a glass of it, wow, that's more antioxidants than they'll get in a week. And the same thing with senior citizens. Have you seen what they're feeding senior citizens today at retirement homes, senior centers, adult daycare centers? Who said it? Absolutely, and sure. I mean, one of the most dangerous things that you could give somebody are dairy products for sure, but then all the synthetic vitamins and everything else. It's all synthetic. And there's no fiber in there unless they're going to add fiber. It's just not healthy. So the 2 groups that have to have the blended soups and smoothies, really, that I've seen that it's non-negotiable is a child and a senior citizen, okay? Did you have a question?
Can you have a fruit in the green smoothie, or does it have to be just all?
Oh, I'm going to get to the recipe a little bit. It's not the real recipe, but I'm going to give you the idea. So hopefully most of you guys are not consuming dairy products, and I would love to talk for 2.5 weeks here on dairy products. I'd love that. But I will say this. Just understand this about dairy products. If you just get, let's be honest now. Let's call it what it is. When you take in dairy products, you're taking in the hormonal secretion from a bovine. So I want you to think about that. Hormonal secretion from a bovine. You should be running as far and fast as you can when you hear those words, because hormonal is a huge problem. Because if we had a party here today and somebody said, hey, I've got some extra estrogen, who wants a couple of them? Take some extra estrogen? Well, you do know that they're milking cows when they're still pregnant, 300 days in. They're still milking cows now to get as much milk as they can from them. So now the estrogen levels are through the roof, and that's going in your milk. In a glass of milk, there's over 60 different growth hormones and factors in there that drive your body, mad. Because when you take things like insulin-like growth factor and you put insulin-like growth factor on prostate or breast cells, they grow like weeds. So when the dairy industry tells you that milk builds strong bones and muscles, they're right. It builds strong bones and muscles, but they forgot to tell you it builds everything. You put it on the cancer cells, they grow like crazy. So it makes everything proliferate. Because what they're doing now is they're genetically raising these animals so they have higher levels of insulin-like growth factor. They actually inject them then recombinant growth hormone, a hormone. They're actually injecting them. So now what you're getting today is a massive cesspool of antibiotics, hormones, and of course a massive amount of pesticides. So the worst thing you could do in the world would be to have animal products, particularly dairy. To answer your question about the smoothie, use any liquid that you want, preferably like a non-dairy milk, so whether it's whatever you choose, almond, soy, oat, cashew. You can put a banana in the blender and you create banana milk, right? So you can create it easy, it doesn't matter. And so get a liquid. Let's just make it up for right now. Let's just say we're going to use coconut milk. So we get, say, So Delicious, whoever you use, coconut milk. Then we're going to put our greens in. So lots of different greens, and not just like a sprig. It's not a little piece of parsley. We're talking big amounts of kale and bok choy. So when you blend it for 30 seconds, it's green. You can't see through it, right? It's dark green, right? It looks like an emerald forest, okay? So there's our greens. And there's our liquid, right? Then we have to have a sweetener. You're right. Because, realistically, number one, it's not going to be palatable. And number two, we do want the antioxidants from fruit in there still. There's nothing wrong with fruit, absolutely. Now on the mainland, what I call the real land, this is not quite the real land out there because this is awesome out here. All these fresh fruits and vegetables you have available, it's amazing. But in the real world out there, it's generally in the mainland, the one fruit that I vote for is something low in the glycemic index, so it's not going to spike your sugar, and it's the highest in antioxidants. In the real world, that's organic blueberries. So you want to focus on organic blueberries, and they can be frozen. It's better. Because, see, I don't buy plastic. Our organization that I work with is Living with Harmony. So obviously we're an animal sanctuary and a retreat center, and we teach all these different things. But one thing we do is we try to boycott single-use plastic. So I won't buy blueberries in the little plastic container. So I have no problem buying frozen blueberries. You're not destroying anything. As a matter of fact, many times frozen fruits and vegetables can have more nutrients if they're flash frozen immediately in the field instead of being trucked around and shipped around and exposed to different temperatures. Okay? Now, if you don't want to use blueberries, you don't have to. But blueberries, particularly wild blueberries, they're very small. They have higher amounts of antioxidants than blueberries. And there's components in there. There's pterostilbene. There's different components in there, the pigments that enhance neuronal communication, and they repair damage that occurs in the brain. So if you could only pick one fruit, you know, my vote, for the most part, with not saying all the great fruits you have here, but on the mainland, it would be blueberries. Okay? Now here you're lucky because you do have papaya and you have mangoes and you have all sorts of kiwi and star fruit, and I don't know if noni grows out here, but that's phenomenal. That does grow out here? Oh, but that's in a phenomenal antioxidant. So you have some variety, but in terms of antioxidants. If you want sweets in your smoothie, then your best bet is probably, if you want your smoothie sweet, I would say go with cherries or go with mangoes, because you're going to get a good supply of sweetness in there and you still get antioxidants in there.
How about bananas and pineapple?
Bananas, when you cut them, do you notice how they start browning? And when you cut an apple, so they're not as high in antioxidants. They do make things creamier, but the problem is in the United States, I never really consider Hawaii the United States because it's in its own little bubble. It's like so advanced. But in the mainland, it's apples, bananas, and oranges, right? And the problem is you're doing it all the time, so we need variety. So if you're getting enough variety here, you know, pineapple, the stem particularly is beneficial with that enzyme bromelain. There's been over 200 different studies to show bromelain to reduce inflammation. And you couple that with something called quercetin, which is found in onions and the peels of apples. Wow, you got a really powerful anti-inflammatory agent. So if you are going to use pineapples, definitely always use the stem for sure in there. But bananas are fine. Here's the bottom line. Whatever it takes for you to get those vegetables in, that's all that matters. So if it takes bananas, whatever, that's fine. Okay? Yeah, the core of the pine. Boy, if you can get those, that's powerful. That's how they actually extract bromelain, and they put it in capsules, or veggie capsules or tablets. Yeah, it's very, 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 it's a proteolytic enzyme. Very, very powerful.
What was one of the things you said high in anti-inflammatory besides the core of the pineapple?
Well, there's many things that are anti-inflammatory. So blueberries are one of the top. Turmeric and ginger are powerful too. And one of the most important ones is tart cherries. Tart cherries are phenomenal.
You talk about I've got to say this, I can't resist it. You talk about the vegetables out here. You've obviously not been to very many restaurants on this island.
No, I've been to the farmers markets, though, in the past.
The thing of it is, you go to a restaurant here, there's not 1 in 10 restaurants that you can go in and you can order over 2 vegetables, if you can order that many.
Oh, here? Oh, yeah, my experience is only...
You're in the desert.
When I was on Kauai last, years and years ago, I went to a farmer's market, and the little lady, they pull their truck in backwards, and it's from their tree. I bought so much produce from her, she said to me, she goes, "Do you resell this stuff?" And I said, "No, this is what I eat." But I couldn't believe the selection you guys have here, especially when people, like the people bringing bananas now just right from a tree, or avocados, or mango. It's mind-boggling that it's so fresh. But I didn't know that about the restaurant, so that's good to know. Yeah. So well, that even proves my point even more. Again, we don't serve it at restaurants. I'll tell you an interesting story. I was at somebody's house for dinner long time ago. And I don't know, there's 6 or 7 people at the table, and everyone's sitting down, and the host put down this huge salad in front of me. And I thought, wow, they know how much salad I eat, because, it was a big serving of it, what I would normally eat. And then all of a sudden I was thinking, this is really nice. And then the host took a set of salad tongs, and she put it in the salad. And I thought, well, why would I need salad tongs for my salad? And I realized that salad was for 6 people. So again, I would see my clients come in with a food diary, and they would say that they have a salad, and they would tell me about all this dressing. And they'd say, you know, I always have a salad, but I don't seem to be losing weight. And I said, well, you know, I'm just wondering. I said, you know, I've asked you intentionally not to write down the volume. I said, I don't care, but I'm just curious. Like, when you eat a salad, how much salad do you have? And there's like, well, you know, like about a teacup amount. But I mean, but then I said, but what about all this dressing that you have? You know, how much of that? Well, I might use a half a cup of dressing on that. So a half a cup of dressing on a teacup worth of salad. So yeah, so it's not, you know, we're just not getting enough volume. So again, this easiest way to do it is through a smoothie. And we've talked about the liquid. We talked about, it doesn't matter what greens you want. It's fine, whatever you put in. Some sort of fruit. For right now, whatever it takes to get the greens in, do. But if we could get blueberries in, that's ideal. And by the way, there's many vegan doctors out, they're all my best friends, I know them well, that are just talking about blueberries in the last 5 years. 25 years ago, I was up on the research with blueberries and the different antioxidants, pterostilbene and James Duke, all these different researchers that were already talking about blueberries. So it's really nothing new. The scientific community has termed them brain berries a long, long time ago. It's just that now we're starting to do more and more research on it and seeing the benefits of the blueberries. So just make sure you get the blueberries somewhere in your diet and try really hard if you can afford it. If you can afford it, try really hard to get organic blueberries. Question?
And Huku has a big $44, I think, but for big organic white blueberries. Where? Huku.
Oh, okay. I'm not. Is that that's a store here?
Yes.
Hoku. Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with it. Yes. Oh, acai is amazing. Yeah. See, I'm so used to speaking on the mainland that nobody knows what that is. Acai and goji, and you know what I mean. So we just keep to the basics for the average person there. But for you guys, it's fine. You're basically just looking fruit to be the best bang for your buck. So instead of an apple, or not that an orange is bad, but we also overeat those all the time. And we want something that has really the best bang for our buck and is not super high in the glycemic index, which berries aren't. Though, as a matter of fact, if you're ever going to overeat on a sugar, if you eat them with blueberries, it'll help normalize your blood sugar so you don't have that spike. Okay, now back, yes, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we have mulberries.
Oh, you have mulberries? Wow, okay, so that's another really great one. You're not going to go wrong with any berry. You know, so all berries are fine. Just we see more and more research being done on blueberries, but I bet if we did more research on mulberries and so forth, we'd see great studies on that too. Because there are certain things like, there is a component called pterostilbene, which is in blueberries, that lowers cholesterol very effective. And it doesn't mean that it's not out there anywhere else. It's kind of like when people talk about drinking red wine, they talk about resveratrol. But where is the red wine from? Red grapes. But also we see resveratrol in peanuts too. So it's not like nature has just hidden this antioxidant one place. Kind of like lycopene, everybody who knows nutrition says, well, that's from tomatoes. Yeah, but it's also from watermelon and red grapefruit, right? So you're right. You know, we really do need to be researching more. And I would say probably, you know, Dr. Greger for nutritionfacts.org, he's always looking at a lot of those studies. And so his site's a good site to look at if you're interested. But the truth of the matter is we don't really need to focus on just one fruit. We want to get a variety of things if we can. We want to get as much variety of different greens. And I'll tell you, the other thing you want to do is you want to get greens, particularly greens, it could be fruit too, but from different farmers. Why do you think you need it from different farmers? Different soil. So different levels of minerals. So like when we get Brazil nuts, where do they come from? Brazil. It's about our only good source of selenium in our diet. In the United States, selenium, measured in micrograms like chromium, it's almost deficient in the soil. But when we go from different areas of the earth, we can find it. So when you do get to a farmer's market, it is a good idea to try to get variety. Yes?
Could you speak to Dr. John McDougall, how he talks kind of dispelling some of the myths around glycemic index, glycemic load,
Well,
blood sugar,
yeah,
from sugar?
Well, the thing is the glycemic index, you know, is changed by any time you eat another food with it. So if you have something super, super sweet, right, and you eat fat with it, it changes the glycemic index already. So anytime you're eating, you can change the glycemic index. It's only when they do the studies or the tests that they're just giving that one exact food. They're not adding other foods to it, right? So, and there's other things you can take. Like if I'm working with clients, so I work, say, ultra endurance runners, they're like Scott Jurek, who lives in my town, he ran the Appalachian Trail. So over 2,000 miles he ran in 47 days. So imagine the amount of calories these guys take in the morning in a smoothie. Massive glycemic, it's all sugar. So sometimes what we can do for them is we can give them, there's a really good herb, it's called nopal extract. It's a cactus. And you can take that, and as soon as you take that, normally when you have these smoothies, you have a high and a low. You take the nopal, and boom, you just feel it steady, 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 steady. So anytime you're eating other foods with it, it changes the glycemic index. Let me get back to the important point I wanted to mention about pesticides, because this is really important. I want you to think of these words: suicide, genocide, homicide. They sound good? No. So now add the next one, pesticide. When you start taking these sides in, these are things that are, especially pesticides, they have different functions, but their ultimate job is to kill an insect. Okay? They shut off their central nervous system, they stop reproduction, but I want you to remember, everybody in this room, everybody, is a big insect. So every time you're taking in pesticides, you're taking micro amounts of pesticides, and they're causing micro damage, right? It's kind of like taking a dishwasher cloth or a wash rag and just taking it and going like this. Eventually, what's going to happen? It's going to start to tear, right? Just micro amounts of damage here, right? And it's the same thing with pesticides. They accumulate, okay? And now the food with the highest pesticide in the world is animal products. Not fruits and vegetables, not grains, not beans. It's animal products. And the reason is because it takes about 12 to 15 pounds of grain to produce a 1-pound burger. And those 12 to 15 pounds of grain, when we buy them from different countries, they were using pesticides that aren't allowed in this country. So we can't buy their pesticides, but we're buying their beef. So now you've got all these illegal pesticides sprayed on grains, and all of a sudden now all those 15 pounds get converted into 1-pound burger. You give it to your child, little tiny spleen, little tiny liver, and you're expecting that child to detoxify that? No. Attention deficit, hyperactivity, neurological problems, immunological problems, a disaster. So the more organic you can get in, the better, but particularly, you be careful with animal products because they're the highest. Okay? Now here's the cool thing. If somebody said, hey, I can't afford organic products all the time, fine. You still want fruits and vegetables because there's something that's in fruits and vegetables that's not in processed foods and it's not in animal products. It's called fiber. And fiber chelates or grabs onto heavy metals and pesticides and toxins and carries them out the body. So you're always better off eating fresh fruits and vegetables than not eating them, whether they're sprayed or not. Obviously, if you can afford it, try to get organic. Now, do you think organic has more nutrients and antioxidants than non-organic? Well, let's figure this out. This is really simple. The reason why that plants produce antioxidants is because they're protecting themselves against insects and droughts and different things. When you spray a plant, what's the threat to the plant now from an insects? There is none. They're not getting chewed on anymore, so they don't produce as many antioxidants. So when you're eating organic produce, when I used to go to the farmer's market here, and I would get the lettuce, had all sorts of holes in it from bugs eating it. There was already bugs in it when I brought it back. There was tons of bugs in it. So this is alive. I mean, you could plant a broomstick out here and it would grow. You know what I'm saying? I mean, your soil is alive here. I mean, seriously, this is good. But when you start putting pesticides on and they're killing everything, they also are killing the microorganisms. And remember, vitamin B12, it's a microorganism found in the soil, right? So you're starting to kill everything. So get as much organic as you can. That make sense? Okay. Now I know we're just getting warmed up, right? And I haven't got to not even through the first page of my book.
Introduction.
This is not even the introduction, right? So let's get back to the smoothie, and then I'll try to answer questions later. So we've got our liquid in there. Let's just say for not coconut milk, our greens, our sweet fruit, whatever you want, bananas, berries, acai, mangoes, whatever you want. Then let's put in one of the most powerful seeds in the world, which is going to be flaxseed. Flaxseed is super important. Couple pointers with flaxseed. It has a diamond coating on it. You can't chew it. You can swallow it and expect to extract the essential fats. You can't. So let me tell you a pointer. You don't ever buy ground flaxseed. You don't ever buy it. What you do is you buy whole flaxseed. You put it in the blender, a pound of it. Push, blend, 30 seconds. Take that, put it in a glass container, put it in the refrigerator, or I keep it in the freezer. It's not going to freeze. It's like ground up nuts. Then in your smoothie, if you're not used to flaxseed, you start out with about a 1/4 teaspoon of flax. And the reason you don't start out with any much more is I learned in geriatrics a long time ago, flax is a very moving experience. So you want to start out slow. So about a quarter teaspoon, and every time you have a smoothie, you take a little bit more. 3 teaspoons equal 1 tablespoon. Our goal is to get about a tablespoon. That flaxseed, not only is it that the good fats that we need, your body will convert it to EPA and DHA, hopefully, if you're a good converter, but one of the highest sources of lignans, where most of the research has been on lignans for anti-cancer components. Plus seeds, any seed at all, or a nut, is about, in the vegan diet, our best source of vitamin E. And vitamin E is a very potent fat-soluble antioxidant. So it's very important that we get vitamin E in our diet. And nuts and seeds are an easy way to do it. Now, you could add other things in there. You could take a Brazil nut or 2 and put it in there. That's fine. But you don't want to make it into this big, fatty glop. You know, you see all these people today talking about, I'm going to put coconut oil in there. I'm going to put in 4 tablespoons of nut butter. You know, now, you don't want to do that. Okay? You want it predominantly be greens. Okay? Now, that's the basics of it. Now, the other thing that I would add, the final thing, is a spice. Now, spices, next to essential oils are the highest antioxidants in the world, and then spices, okay? The best spice to use, well, whatever you like is good, but if you could get used to using pumpkin spice, that would be really ideal, because one of the highest antioxidants in the world is clove. Clove is one of the best, and one of the best things to regulate blood sugar is cinnamon. So when you get that clove or cinnamon and nutmeg in there, super, super high in antioxidants. And you can buy at the store just pumpkin spice. You can make your own, I guess, but they just have it, pumpkin spice. And you just put a couple pinches in there, blend, and boom, you're good to go.
The regular one's okay?
Yeah, the regular pumpkin spice. It's just a spice, not the pumpkin. The pumpkin is something, canned pumpkin, that you can add to your smoothies as an antioxidant, and it's a great fiber. But you don't want to buy the pumpkin that has sweetened with sugar, just pure pumpkin, okay? Now, when you get that, like I generally intermittent fast, just not intentionally. I'm just not hungry till about noon. So I ideally like to eat from noon to 6. But it doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes I'm busy. But let's just say you don't do that. What you want to do is you can make your smoothie in the morning, and you could drink the whole smoothie then, which would be fine, but then make some extra and then put it in your water bottle, okay? This one I don't use because this has a filter in it, but my regular water bottles, I'll put in part of my smoothie. And metaphorically, if you're a doctor, don't panic because this is not real what I'm saying, but metaphorically you're coating your brain and your tissue with all these antioxidants every time you take a sip. Now every time you take a sip of water, that's great to hydrate, but there's no antioxidants in it. So if you are going to drink water throughout the day, at least squeeze lemon, right? Use some green powder, put maybe a little bit of, if you take dried mangoes or even just regular mango and cut up a couple pieces and put it in there, it'll sweeten it. And then you're still getting antioxidants. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, so that's our smoothie. Just keep that in mind how valuable it is. Now the brother to the smoothie, kind of it's a brother and sister, is a blended soup. And the blended soup is very simple. Yes?
Before you leave smoothie,
I'd never leave smoothie.
what are you looking at to be a good amount of the smoothie to carry you through?
Well, that's all individual. Depends on what you do. Again, when I'm working with ultra endurance runners, and I'm not exaggerating, they may take in, I'm not kidding, it's going to be hard to believe, between 3,000 and 5,000 calories in a smoothie. And that's not going to be us. So it's just basically think you're just drinking greens, right? So it's not going to hurt you to drink too much unless you have issues with coumadin or your vitamin K or something like that. But generally, whatever you can drink, you're not going to drink too much of it. You know what I mean? But just generally about a size of a water bottle. You know, so you're having at least a couple glasses of it in it, because that's a massive amount of nutrients you're taking in. Okay? Yes. I love all these questions, but you do know we'll be here till midnight, right? I love this.
I think water washes out the toxins, so if you put lemon in it, is that okay?
Oh yeah, well lemon in the body is alkaline, so it's not acidic, and it's fine. It's a good source of vitamin C in there, and there's flavonoids in there, like hesperidin, rutin. Those are different flavonoids in citrus that are really good. They're what they call bioflavonoids, or vitamin P for capillaries. So when you do use lemon, the way to do it is not to squeeze the lemon. It's to take a spoon and scrape out everything in there and put everything in the water. So and then you kind of you drink it and you got little pieces in your mouth.
Still washes out because
Yeah,
pure water, not lemon's okay in it too.
Oh yeah, lemon's fine. I'm cautious of the term when we use the term it detoxifies or cleanses. I mean, those are kind of, I don't know if I use those terms, but yeah, it's healthy for you. It's healthy for you.
How about the teeth with the lemon water?
Well, I use only glass straws. So I don't recommend using, you know, if you're going to drink a lot of lemon water, to drink it that way, to use a straw, and always use glass. And, you know, it was interesting because, you know, our organization, Living with Harmony, we don't promote a lot of things we don't promote. We don't promote palm oil. We don't promote balloons. And we don't promote single-use plastics. And I think today, I forgot which where I was, maybe it was Honolulu, they had a smoothie store, and they were putting these huge plastic straws in everybody's. And I don't know if you've ever been, like I've been to Florida a lot, and if you go to the aquatic hospitals there, you see turtles with straws inside their nose. And you see plastic, like today I was at the beach, and somehow a plastic bag got in the ocean. And it was out there floating, and I was getting ready to go, and luckily somebody got it. But the turtles they think that's a jellyfish. So we boycott plastic for the environmental reasons, but you're bringing up a great point, especially if you use essential oils in your water. One drop of peppermint, depending what brand you use, can be 21 cups of peppermint tea. So one drop of an essential oil in the water is very, very powerful. So you're bringing up a good point. I recommend if you're going to drink lemon to drink it with a straw, and you'll still suck those particles up because it's small particles that are in there, the white part of the orange. Yeah. Yes?
So you said use glass straws. What about the metal straws?
Oh, those are fine too. Yeah, glass, metal, yeah. Anything but plastic. Don't try your very best when you go into stores, restaurants, whatever you order. Say, I don't want a straw. I don't want a straw. Get rid of single-use plastics. Just look. I was just in Oahu, and of course it's not just Oahu, but you know I went by the harbor, and next to all the boats, I took pictures. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. Basketballs, kids' plastic balls, cups, silverware floating, you know, straws, everything. You know, the ocean has become a cesspool of all this stuff, so we need to be very cautious of that. But you're bringing up a good point. Yeah. Come on up here. You need to come up and sit next to me so we can have a conversation.
You mentioned the pesticides, so do you folks fight the GMOs?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, I don't even want to get into that because when I was out here originally, I'd go to the farmer markets. You guys had the GMO stands up here, the anti-GMOs. It was amazing. I don't know what it's like now, but yeah, of course we do. I mean, what we're trying to do is get people to live. My whole book, The Pillars of Health, is really about getting back to basics. And when you look at the blue zones, the people live the longest in the world. And it doesn't matter if it's Okinawa, Japan, or if it's certain parts of Costa Rica or Greece or Italy, or even in LA, you know, Loma Linda. The one thing they all have in common, of course, from a dietary standpoint, they all eat legumes, beans, peas, or lentils. And I've been stressing that from day one. They move every 20 minutes. And I'll talk about movement in a little bit. But the one thing that they have is they're always in this community. They're very social. They're very loving. They're very kind. They're back to nature type of people. And that's one of the things that I've been trying to get back to our community, especially kids, because kids today are so disconnected, very disconnected. Anyways, so really quick, does that make sense about the smoothies?
Yes.
Okay, because I can't tell if that makes sense. So now we're just going to go really quick to a warm smoothie, which is just a blended soup. That's how simple it is. I'm going to give you a quick, easy recipe. You won't forget it. We're going to pick 3 vegetables, okay? And you're going to in your brain going to pick one. So we could have, I'm going to say, a bag of organic frozen peas, organic frozen corn, or organic frozen spinach, okay? Which one are you going to pick, Thomas?
Spinach.
Spinach, perfect, good choice. One of the highest antioxidants in the world. One of the highest, beats almost everything. Yeah, one of the highest. Now, it does have some other issues, but here's the thing. You're going to take 3 cups of water, put it on the stove with your organic spinach. I usually use frozen, okay? It heats up. I put it in my blender with 1 avocado. Now, I saw the avocados you had the size of watermelons. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, I was so excited to see those things, I couldn't even believe it. Unfortunately, the ones that I got were not ripe, and I can't take them to the mainland. So did you ever do this with an avocado? You keep pushing it and hoping it's going to turn ripe? I pushed it a long time. So all you're going to do is take your spinach, put it in the blender with 1 avocado, blend for 30 seconds. Boom. That's your base. I have cream of spinach soup now. That's my base. Now I add a little bit of vegetables. So I might put in some kale. I might put in a sweetener. So I might put in a piece of beet, or I might put in a piece of carrot, sweeten it up a little bit. Okay. Then, if you're trying to lose weight, or you're a child or a senior, I'm going to take the vegetables that I was steaming in the back, cruciferous ones, cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, put them in and blend. If they're a child or a senior. But if you're trying to lose weight, I'm not going to blend those. Why don't I blend those if you're trying to lose weight?
Fiber.
Fiber still stays in there.
Satiation.
Yeah.
Satiation signal.
Yeah, because you're going to eat it what? slower, right? So my clients are going to eat that slower. And when you're trying to help clients lose weight, every little trick adds up. Right now I'm working with the world champion sumo wrestler, 475 pounds, and he's the world champion judo. First in history, in the world since time began, vegan sumo wrestler. He's been vegan about close to 2 months now, been dropping weight like crazy. So a course soup is one of the key things we want to help. You know, I run a program with Chef AJ. I don't know if you know Chef AJ out of LA, but we do a program called Ultimate Weight Loss. And you know, one of the things that is really important is, and I don't want to get into it today because we don't have time, but sequencing meals. If you learn how to sequence meals, then that's the secret to weight loss. Because by the time you get to the foods that have the most calories, you're too full. Because you have your soup first, then you have your vegetables, and then you have your salad, and then everything else. Yeah, so the blended soup, you're going to pick one of those, add 1 avocado. What if you don't like avocado? How else can I cream it up? You're right, you could use any nut you want. What I use is tahini. So sesame tahini, 1 or 2 tablespoons in there. Tahini is one of the highest sources of calcium on the planet and highest in minerals. It's a great source of minerals. Add 1 or 2 tablespoons, it thickens it up. Let's say you want to do SOS-free, salt-free, oil-free, sugar-free, so you don't want that fat. What could I thicken it up with?
Psyllium husk.
Oh, psyllium husk, that's very good too. You're right, psyllium is good. You could add a psyllium, but a little tastier than psyllium would be a potato. Or you can also add in, one of my favorite things is hummus that you've pre-made without tahini, okay? So what you do is take 2 cans, I'm just saying, you don't have to use cans, but let's say 2 cans of garbanzo beans, some garlic, and some lemon. Most people use tahini in hummus, you don't have to, and then just blend it, and there's your hummus. Once you add it into your soup, it thickens it up, okay? Now you can also just add beans in there too. Some beans will thicken up. Cannellini beans work really good. Okay? So that's your soup. That's it. That's it. And then you just season it up and you're good to go. That you took all these vegetables that you'd never eat because you don't have the time, you blended them and you drank them up. That's why we do it. Okay? That's because it's allowing you to break the cell wall and get in more volume. Yes?
I just throw coconut.
You what?
We have a lot of coconut, just the coconut meat, just throw in.
Oh, yeah, coconut. That's another good. You're right. That's excellent. See, I'm not used to having coconut. But yeah, coconut, and some people use coconut milk. It's a little higher in fat. But you're right. The actual coconut inside would be wonderful. Yes?
I've been recently told that I'm overcooking my food.
Uh-huh.
What's the proper temperature to stop cooking at? I was told 104 to 106 degrees.
That's nice.
Really warm.
Yeah, that's about 118, but that's all controversial. The thing is, sometimes cooking is beneficial, sometimes it's not. If you're trying to lose weight, we don't want our clients to cook too much because they'll get full faster, but most people who are needing to lose weight have poor digestion anyhow, and cooking helps with digestion because it helps break apart the cell wall a little bit, okay? So I generally, what I do for most of my clients, as they start working with, not new ones, but as they start working with these, 75% of their diet is raw, and then they have the rest cooked. And the things they cook are beans, potatoes, right? Any sort of legume and potatoes they cook. And then if they choose to eat a grain and they don't want to sprout it, I'm not really big in the grains. They're okay, but I like more pseudo grains like quinoa or amaranth, things like that. Yeah. Okay. Yep. What is your name, by the way? Because I'll just start just saying, do you have a question? What is it?
Sharon.
Sharon. Okay.
So coconut oil is this.
Oh, yeah, no, not coconut oil. I think she meant coconut.
No, I know, but is coconut oil okay or not okay? Because I've read literature that it has like those medium chains, so it doesn't absorb into your blood.
Yeah.
So it doesn't create plaque and stuff. But
Yeah, well, that's when you say, is it okay, it's great, like if you have a squeaky door, use a little coconut oil in there, but not in the body. No, you want to avoid anytime you have an oil, like let's say you want olive oil. You've heard the benefits of, people say there's benefits of olive oil. Do you think there's more benefits to the olive?
yeah.
Well, yeah, because the olive, all they're doing with the olive is they're squeezing it and taking the fat out, and all the antioxidants and the fiber are left behind. So if you think there's a benefit to coconut, then just eat the coconut. Don't worry about the oil. Because anytime you're eating oil, you're always going to be coating those red blood cells, and then they start sticking together in the bloodstream, and they get blood sludging or clumping, and they don't move very quickly, particularly if the carotid artery or vertebral, these arteries are occluded up, you're not getting good blood flow, so you get that cerebral vascular insufficiency.
But the readings say it's like a medium chain.
No, I know exactly what it is. It has nothing to do,
That's not true.
it's not what we're talking about. It still takes the blood and makes it thick.
Okay.
That's the problem. And it's still a calorie.
What do you cook with if you wouldn't use olive oil or coconut oil?
Water.
Well, just water? I just use water. What would I cook, for instance?
Stir fry.
Oh, yeah, just quick water. Or sometimes you can take a bouillon cube, a vegetable bouillon cube, and add it with a little water in that way. Yeah. And I use what's called an Instant Pot for most of my stuff. So an Instant Pot's a stainless steel pressure cooker. So I just chop up my sweet potatoes and put them in there for 8 minutes. They're done. I dump them. I put my rice in there for 10. I dump it. Put my vegetables for 2. I dump it. And then I have all my stuff prepared. And then you put it in glass containers and then in the fridge. So everything cooks that way. And if I was to use like tempeh I can just heat up really quickly on the stove, or I can heat it in a toaster oven. But yeah, you don't want to use oil if you can help it. Now, if the only way you are going to eat healthy is by putting some oil on a pan, go right ahead. But remember, what people don't tell you is, you ever seen these sprays they put on there? You know, the sprays. And how much fat do they say is in there? 0. They say it's 0, right? 0. You look at it, it says 0 grams of fat. And then when you read the ingredients, what's the ingredients? Olive oil, right? So how is it possible? Think about this. Just think about this logic. How is it possible to spray your pan with fat and the government says there's no fat? Because if it's less than 1/2 gram per serving, the government considers it 0 fat. And what they don't tell you is you need 1/30th of a second on your spray to equal that. But nobody does that. Most people go like this, right? And they talk to the kids and they say, hey guys, dinner's going to be ready in 15 minutes, right? So, but the truth is, if it took you a drop of olive oil on your pan to heat it up, of course, that's not a problem. It's only a problem generally when I work with people who are food addicts, because if we give them a little bit of oil, it calls their name and they want more all the time. But if that's what's going to make you eat, it's kind of like kale. We generally don't want people eating salt, but if somebody says, hey, JP, I can't eat my salad unless I put some salt, I said go ahead and put some salt, because I'm more concerned about getting the benefits in. Okay, make sense so far? Yeah. We have to move on. Yeah. I didn't even get to, I'm on, no, page 2 I'm on right now. So let's move on from nutrition. You get the idea. We need more plant matter. We need more volume of it. The easiest way is smoothies, blended soups. That's the easiest way to do it. Okay, that's a no-brainer. Okay, let's move on to movement a little bit. You know, a lot of people have seen me, work with a lot of different celebrities I work with, and that's not really, I mean, it's great to work with celebrities and everything, and if you go to johnpierre.com, you'll see me training Ellen DeGeneres on there. You see me training Ellen and doing these boot camps and things like that, and that's kind of what I'm known for, is boot camps and fitness. But I want you to understand something. If you do an hour of exercise in the morning, I'm thrilled. Okay, I'm thrilled. But I'm really concerned about what you're doing 23 hours of the day. Because if you're doing what most Americans do, it's what you're doing now, is sitting. And that sitting is the new smoking. It's one of the most dangerous things that you can do. So I've got news for you. Your 1 hour in the morning is not counteracting 23 hours of sitting. It's better that you did an hour than not. But what I really need you to do is I need you to move throughout the day. In the blue zones, they move about every 20 minutes. Okay? Your goal is to move your body from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to bed and get out of common postures. Common postures are sitting, standing, and lying down. You need to start doing uncommon postures. One of the most important uncommon postures is squatting, rotating, pushing, pulling, reaching. Those are uncommon movements that we need. They're primal motions that you need. Now, why do we need to do that stuff? Well, one of the reasons is if you aren't moving throughout the day and you're sitting in a chair, your immune system is run basically by your lymphatic system. And you have about 60,000 miles of blood vessels throughout your body, and your heart is responsible for pumping blood throughout the body. But your lymphatic system is the same ducts. We have the lymphatic vessels, lots of those, and lots of lymph fluid, maybe twice as much lymph fluid as we do blood. But the lymph system doesn't have a pump. So the only way the lymph moves, and the lymph, remember, is the paramedics, police department, fire department, army, it's your immune system. It moves if you get deep tissue massage, but average person can't afford that. Do deep diaphragmatic breathing, belly breathing. Most people don't know how to do it. The simplest way to move lymph is to move. Every time you push, you pull, you reach, you bend, you twist, you're moving lymph. But no one's doing that because all people are sitting in chairs. As a matter of fact, think about this. Think about the average person. Okay? They've slept 7 or 8 hours. Any movement there? Heart rate's down, respiration's down, lymphatic shut down, everything's shut down. Wake up in the morning, eat some breakfast, sitting, right? Read the newspaper, get online. Then what do? They go to work, sitting. Then they get to work, and then they're sitting. And then they're exhausted. They get in the car, drive home, come down, and they sit again. So this vicious cycle all day long is sitting. Most of your lymph nodes, chest and groin. The best thing in the world for you is this motion right here. This is the best thing to activate that right there, right? This type of motion. This is the last thing in the world that people do, right? So you've got to move as much as you can throughout the day to activate the lymphatic system if you want a healthy immune system. I've seen in geriatrics people die from a cut on their foot from MRSA infection. A month later, they're dead. Their immune system is so down. All they do in retirement homes, I'm telling you, I've done this for a long time, is sit. They sit constantly. As a matter of fact, some people go in with the ability to ambulate and walk, and everybody else is in wheelchairs, and after a while, these people say, well, I should just get a wheelchair. Everybody's in a wheelchair. It's like, what? Are you kidding me? When you go into retirement homes, this is what happens. I've seen it for 20-something years. People get to a chair, and they go like this. Because they don't have the ability to eccentrically lower themselves, they don't have the neurological functioning, and they don't have the strength to do it anymore. And here's why. Because if you don't use it, you lose it. So they're not practicing. They actually have at retirement homes now chairs where you push a button and it elevates you out of the chair. So you no longer, well, no, I'm serious. And there's some people who do need that. But I'm saying there's a lot of people that think it's fun, right? They just use it as a toy. They don't want to sit and get out of their chair. So this is what's causing a lot of problems today. And think about the kids today. When I was a kid, you could not even get on a field. Matter of fact, I can remember there being 20 tennis courts, and you had to stick your tennis court in the fence to reserve that court when someone was done. I still go by those courts today. There's nobody there. Nobody's playing on the tennis courts. Most of these kids are doing video games, and they're staying at home. So when you couple all that stuff with a nutrient-deficient diet for these kids, is it any wonder that we have these problems? So you've got to move as much as you can for your immune system. When we look at athletes, professional tennis players who hit a tennis ball 6 hours a day, the arm bones, the ulnar and radius, are thicker from stress. When we x-ray their non-dominant hand, they're thinner. So stress or exercise stimulates bones. And I'll tell you one thing, osteoporosis is a silent killer. People don't take it seriously enough. If you have osteoporosis and you crack your femur, and your femur cuts your femoral artery and you bleed to death in 30 seconds, this is a serious problem. There's 10,000 deaths a year from seniors taking falls. And a lot of times when seniors take a fall, they break these bones. Okay, so you've got to keep your bones as strong as possible. And bones respond from a good diet high in minerals and protein. It's not just calcium. Where's your boron? Where's your vitamin K? Where's your vitamin C? Where's your protein? And where's your stimulation? That's what develops bones. So you need other things other than just calcium. I mean, if you look at the countries who consume the most calcium, they have the highest rates of osteoporosis. And if you look at the cultures that eat the least, they have the least. Okay? It's not calcium is not the magic elixir. It's all minerals in general and protein and exercise. So you need to do exercise to prevent that osteoporosis. And there's such a widespread of osteopenia today, which is the beginning stages of osteoporosis. I mean, it's widespread everywhere. So you've got to do everything you can. If all you do is walk every day, what are you building?
Just your legs.
Exactly. You're building something specific, right? If you punch a bag all day, you're building your bone density here, but nothing going on here. So if you just walk, wonderful, but then you better do something for your upper body too. Now, I always get this question, do I need to do weight training? Well, do you think your body knows the difference between lifting metal, lifting water, lifting corn, or lifting resistance? It doesn't know. It just knows that it's being stressed. So it doesn't matter if you go to a gym and you lift metal there and you come to my gym and my weights are filled with water, right? Your body doesn't know. It just knows it's stress. And it doesn't matter if, say, for instance, I'm using exercise bands, right, like this, or you're doing a push-up. It just feels tension and stress, and it responds by getting stronger because what it says is, hey, you did 10 push-ups today. What if this guy makes me do 11 tomorrow? So I better get the muscles and bones stronger to protect me. So stress, i.e. exercise, is what helps you. Does that make sense? Yes. Now, I work with a lot of clients that have mild to moderate depression. 100% of those clients, 100%, I do not sit in an office with. I take them outside. So 100% of them I get them moving, because aside from fresh air and sunshine, we're talking, of course, which we could do in the office, but I want this going on. I want some endorphins. I want to try to get them moving a little bit. As you start exercising a little bit more aggressively, you start releasing endorphins, these brain chemicals that reduce pain, and they give you a sense of euphoria, so they make you feel better. And 100% of the time when I work with a client who has mild to moderate depression, 100% of the time when we're done, they say, JP, I feel so great. This is great. I feel really great. Of course they do. They're taking in more oxygen. They're getting sunlight too, but they're also releasing these endorphins. So from a mental health standpoint, it's super important, super important. Now, quickly about exercise. We don't have the time to tell you which exercises to do, but I will say one of the most neglected exercises that you can do is balance training. Nobody's doing enough balance training. Everybody's doing endurance training and maybe strength training, but let me ask you this question. How many times today, not this week, but just today, have you stood on one foot? So let's everybody stand up. If you're able, in a safe manner, you can hold the chair or hold the table. I just want you to stand, lift your foot up off the ground, and I just want you to see if you can hold for 15 seconds. 15 seconds is our biomarker of aging. That's how well we can tell somebody's aging. We want to go 15 seconds for sure. You got 7 seconds left. It's okay if your foot hits the ground. You don't need to be an acrobat and save yourself. 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Switch foot, because now you're going to go to your foot that's weaker because you picked your strong one. And go.
I can't switch on this one.
Oh, right. So 15 seconds. Good. So you see, that's, yeah, well, you need to work it more for sure. Well, nice. Good. Now, okay, good. Now relax. Now for some of you, it was easy. So now all I want you to do is the exact same thing. Just want you to close one eye. That's it. So get that going. Just close that one eye and just balance. That's it. Just close that eye. You should be able to do that pretty easy. It should be a little bit more challenging. I mean, we're starting at the goo-goo gaga level. So if you're an athlete, don't worry. I'm going to get to you. I'm getting to you. And switch legs. 15 seconds. That's the beginner's level. That's okay. Well, that's good. Finally, we get a little movement out of him. About time. Remember, it's a biomarker of aging. You have both eyes closed, though, huh? No.
Doesn't matter which eye.
No, it doesn't matter which eye. Okay, good. Now we could do, I'm not going to do this just for liability. We could do both eyes, but now I'm going to give you the next version. So you're going to be on one foot, and all I want you to do is I just want you to do a gentle bicycle. So you can do it once. Watch how I do it. I do it once, and I put my foot down. And as you feel comfortable, then you're not going to put your foot down. And you don't have to go high. You don't have to kick high, but just go gentle. And just get that movement going. But you want to hold for 15 seconds. Okay? And if you feel you're starting to fall, then go less. Just don't go as hard. But yeah, so just slow it down then if you find you're not able to hold it. Perfect. And then when you get good, and now switch. This should be a good one. And then if you can switch. And try not to hold on. And good, perfect. Okay, sit down. Now, here's the thing. So a lot of people are doing the weight training, and they're running, they're biking, and they're walking, but they're not doing enough for their balance training, okay? And now when I worked with the sumo wrestler, here's exactly what he said, okay? He was just filmed recently. And he talks really in a low voice because he's from Egypt. And he said, I've been training since I've been 5. I'm the world sumo and the world judo champion. I trained with JP for 10 minutes, and he killed me. Now, here's an athlete, one of the best in the world, that his livelihood depends on balance. And the only thing we did was balance training. But we did balance training that he wasn't used to. So if I'm working with you and you're able to do this pretty well, do you know what's next? Oh, come on, stand up. I'm just going to have you stand here, right? And I'm just going to have you take a hop and hold it. And just keep coming toward me. Good. And then stop. Good. And then another. Yep. And hold, hop and then stop. Perfect. Perfect. That's what we want. Up. Keep it going. Keep it. And then hop. Good. So now, and try to do on one land. So hop and land. And this is really good. You're doing great. And then land. Perfect. Now he's starting to fall. Good. So that's good. We want that. When you start to fall, because you're so skilled, we want you to fall. I mean, we don't want you to fall, but I want you to be challenged. If he wasn't challenged, what I would do is when you hop, I would just gently hit you in the shoulder. So I'd be forcing you to regain your balance. So we can take this from a kindergarten all the way to advanced athlete. Okay, so thank you. That was great. Okay, so basically remember a couple things with exercise. Obviously, every time you move and you bend, you squat, you twist, you're sticking a key in some portion of the body and you're turning that on. There's something that's being turned on every time you do that, okay? Now, one of the most important areas that gets turned on, which everybody here needs to work on, is the brain. There's something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which gets released when you're doing about 20 to 40 minutes of exercise. It can get up to 30% of release of this brain-derived neurotrophic factor. This is a substance that's like fertilizer or miracle grow for the brain. It really allows these neurons to grow and to communicate and get stronger. So exercise, fasting works. There's other things like DHA can help, blueberries, but the best thing in the world for you is going to be exercise. So if you want to have a sharp mind, you want to be getting some sort of something where you can get 20 to 40 minutes of some sort of aerobics in too. So obviously you're so lucky here because you could go walking outside, you can do swimming, whatever, but you want to get that in too. So you want to do some aerobics, some strength training, and some balance training, and then you want to do some sort of flexibility. Now, I've been studying yoga forever, but the challenge that I have with yoga is that when you see this perfect yoga instructor and basically whatever pose they get into, all the students then think, oh, well, she put her forehead to her knees. That's, of course, what I got to do. And that's not what yoga is about, okay? So you want to be in a yoga class where it's suited to you. The instructor comes to you and say, that's wonderful, keep going at your pace. You don't try to match somebody else. It's kind of like if you wear a size 10 shoe, and I wear a size 9, and I try to convince you that 9 is best. No, not for you it's not. It's just like your yoga pose might not be best for me, right? So don't make yoga competitive. One of the things you may want to start doing is also foam rolling. When you wake up in the morning, get yourself a little tennis ball, and just gently sit down or stand and start rolling the bottom of your foot. Okay? Just start getting used to that tissue, that fascia, loosening up a little bit, because this fascia starts getting really tight, and what we're trying to do is open it up. And using a little bit of a lacrosse ball or tennis ball is one thing that helps. You can also use a foam roller too. They work wonderful. I'd rather have most of my clients foam roll than do a yoga class that's not really geared for them, where they're going to get hurt. Because a lot of people get hurt stretching. So if you're going to stretch, make sure you're warm and make sure it's done very, very gently. Okay? But stretching is important, but it has to be gentle. That make sense? Yes?
What's a foam roll?
Oh, a foam roller. So you see your bottle of coconut water that you have? It looks just like that, but it's about this thick and it's this long. And you're going to be able to lay on it on the floor. And it's almost like, you know how you have a rolling pin in the kitchen? It's like that. You're basically just rolling slowly your muscle tissue. Your fascia, well, yeah. But you actually could use a rolling pin.
Is it firm like a styrofoam?
Well, there's different levels. There's some that are really soft, and there's some that are actually like PVC pipes. And the more that you get used to them, the easier you could roll on a PVC pipe. You don't feel it. But when you first start out, you want generally a white foam roller because they're very, very soft. Okay? All right, any questions on movement? Because we have 2 more areas to cover.
A lot of what you've just said, I feel like it could be all done in one exercise, rebounding on a temporary.
Yeah, but you don't get the impact with rebounding, which is excellent. It's excellent for the immune system, and it's excellent for coordination and balance. But every time you rebound, you have the risk of falling. So if you have poor balance, you have to be careful with rebounding. The proper way to do it is to put the rebounder in the corner so you have something to hold on to. Or you can have bars, yeah. But you're still not getting impact. It's great for your immune system. But in order to really develop bone density, you need either strength training or some sort of impact. Well, jumping rope is one of the best things in the world, one of the best. If you go to johnpierre.com, and you'll see me working with Ellen with the jump rope. Yeah. And my other site, just so you know, is livingwithharmony.org. So johnpierre.com, I don't use it as much. The only reason I have it up is because Ellen spent a lot of money doing these videos, and I didn't want to waste that. But livingwithharmony.org is my main site. Okay. Let's go on to the next thing. So I'm going to cover the next topic a little quicker because the last one I really want to focus on. But the next topic is enhancing cognitive functioning. Just think about what's good for your heart is good for your brain. You know, it's basically flesh and blood, your brain. It's composed of a lot of fat. So it's a very metabolic organ. So it's always being attacked. Every single day since the brain is fat. Imagine taking a sparkler and lighting it and all those sparks coming out. That's what's happening to the brain. It's being attacked 24/7 by free radicals. So if I cut an apple in half, what color does it turn?
Brown.
Brown. So it's oxidizing. So pretend that the apple is the brain, and as soon as you're out of the womb, you're aging, right? But there's certain things that accelerate that aging, right? And we talked about those. High animal products, high processed foods, stress, exercise even does it, which is not bad, but it does accelerate it. So if I take a lemon and I squeeze it on that apple, what happens?
It doesn't turn brown.
It preserves it, because the vitamin C and, again, those flavonoids, they preserve the tissue. So that's kind of what we want here with the brain. We want to preserve the tissue as much as we can. And I don't want to get into everything, but it's basically just a plant-based diet. A plant-based diet that's high in antioxidants. So the blueberries, the green leafy vegetables, a little bit of nuts and seeds, legumes, things like that. Everything that you guys are being encouraged to eat. That's critical, okay? Now, there is a couple substances that are absolutely critical for brain functioning that can be deficient in the vegan diet, and that's for sure B12. So non-negotiable, vegan or not vegan, especially if you're not vegan and if you're not vegan but you're over 50, it's not negotiable. You got to have B12. So you want to take about 500 micrograms of B12 a day, and don't worry about if it's cyanocobalamin, hydroxycobalamin, or methylcobalamin. Don't worry about that. Just any of them are fine for right now. But at 500 micrograms a day, when you have a B12 deficiency, the symptoms of B12 deficiency are very similar to dementia. Okay? You start losing your mental faculties. You may start developing initially. You might start getting tingling in your fingers and your toes. And I've had clients who've had tingling in their fingers and toes. I asked them how much B12 are you taking, and they said none. I said, what do you mean, none? They've been vegan for years. I said, you haven't been taking? And they said, no. As soon as I put them on B12, the tingling went away. It can cause permanent neurological damage. It's important for the myelin sheath. That B12 is critical for that. That's how the electrical impulses travel, that myelin sheath. So you have to get B12 in your diet. You're not going to get in a vegan diet unless you're eating, and I'm not saying this to be funny, but dirt. So if you don't wash your hands, there's B12. If you pick a carrot out of the earth, B12. You drink well water, B12. You go to Indonesia and you eat tempeh, where they make it in, like at a carnival type of atmosphere where there's germs everywhere. Yeah, but ours doesn't have it. Okay, so you have to get some sort of fortification of it. So either supplement, or if you drank like almond milk that has B12, or you used fortified yeast. The only problem with those is such small amounts of B12, and oftentimes they're fortified with folic acid. And you don't want folic acid. It's synthetic folate. If you want folate, that's you eat green leafy vegetables, right? You have orange juice, things like that. You don't want folic acid. So B12 is critical, and then of course DHA and EPA are critical.
What about the B12 patches?
Yeah, they're fine. But I mean, why would you? Is there a reason you'd want the patch versus putting sublingual or chewing it? Because injection is best. You're not going to beat injection. Okay, but the reason you're asking a great question, because it's so. What happens is when you get over 50, there's something called the intrinsic factor that gets secreted and allows you to absorb B12. And as people get older, they slow the secretion of that and don't absorb B12 very much. So that's why sometimes if they're starting to lose their mental faculties, it's actually best to not mess around with B12 and just get an injection from a doctor, because then it's immediate. Okay? But it's really a good point you're making. I'll be honest with you, they haven't seen a ton of research on the patches, but yeah, I mean, the patches, anything transdermal does eventually work. Yeah?
What about they have the, you can vaporize, you can get B12 in a vaporizer now?
Oh, that I've never seen that.
Okay.
What?
Just because you get a lot more, way higher absorption rate through the lungs.
What is a vaporizer? Vaping, you mean?
Vaping.
Oh, they actually sell B12 for that now? Oh, wow. Okay, that I didn't know. Yeah. Yes?
You hear about many, if not most vitamins require cofactors that are in the food that the vitamins come from,
Yeah.
in order to make the vitamins work in our bodies. Is that the same with vitamin B12, that there's cofactors that could be relied on?
Well, that I'm not sure about, because they only sell generally B12 as B12. I mean, they can sell some things they could put. Some people do put folic acid in it and things like that. Some people put like copper. But generally, if we take B12 in via supplement, it will cure somebody who has B12 deficiency. But you're bringing up a good point, because you're right. In nature, all foods they're not isolate. And here we're encouraging somebody to take an isolated form. So it's a good point. I don't know if maybe Dr. Greger's done any studies on that or not, but we do know that if you take B12 alone, we know that it'll take care of a B12 deficiency or prevent it. But that's really an interesting question. You might want to write Dr. Greger about that one. That's fascinating.
What if you get too much B12?
Generally, most people don't, but yeah. Well, the thing is, you had a serum B12 test done, right? Not a methylmalonic acid. Yeah, it's not an MMA test. That's different. But anyways, that's more of a medical question you can ask. But generally, we're asking people to take about 500 micrograms a day, or about 2,500 micrograms for the week. But people say, could I just take it all at once? I kind of don't recommend that because it's better absorption when you take any nutrient a few times, or like a little bit throughout the day. So I'm not saying you should take calcium, but let's say you were going to take calcium, it'd be better to take 300 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, 3 in the evening. You just have a better chance of absorption. Yeah. Okay, so B12 and then DHA is the other one. When you're eating flaxseed, purslane, walnuts, green leafy vegetables, we have these short-chain fatty acids in there that doesn't mean they will, but they can get converted to the long chain like EPA and DHA. And DHA is critical for normal cognitive functioning. If you have a baby, the baby has to have DHA for normal retinal development and brain development. That's why if a baby breastfeeds and the mother's eating normal foods, they're fine. But if they don't breastfeed, they have to have a formula that has been fortified with DHA in it. Okay? So for some people that I work with, we only convert sometimes maybe 8%. So we're not really good converters, and the younger you start vegan, the better you are at converting. But if you start vegan at 70, you're probably not really converting very well. So it is beneficial to take like an algae supplement of DHA, like 200 to 300 milligrams a day. And what I've noticed with a lot of people who have had cognitive decline, after I add B12, see how they do, and if they still have an issue, then we add DHA, they seem to pop back to normal many times. So it's something that's worth trying. It's not going to hurt you. It's just derived from algae. Fish eat the algae, and that's how they get the DHA and the EPA in their system. Does that make sense? Okay.
Where do you get the algae from?
Well, they grow it in vats. So they actually grow it themselves.
So something you would pick up at a health food store.
Oh, I'm sorry. Where do you get the algae supplement from?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just on my site, thelivingwithharmony.org, all the supplements well, not all of them, but a lot of the supplements I recommend are on that site. But yeah, you can go to a health food store and get them, and it'll just say algae supplement. Yeah, but they're grown actually. They grow them in these vats to keep them pristine and clean, so they don't have a lot of heavy metals in them. Certain algae like Hiziki can be high in arsenic, so most algae are okay because they have chelating agents like alginate in there, so they can be okay. But you're bringing up an interesting point because they do have a lot of Fukushima, we have mercury, we have all these heavy metals that are in the ocean today. So it's nice that they're actually growing them themselves. So just quickly, the DHA and the B12 are two of the main supplements. There's lots of other things we can get into, essential oils and herbs that help the brain too, but for right now, that's good. Now, the other thing that you need to do is you need to stimulate your brain. So one thing that's very beneficial is to remember that if you look at a neuron, one of your nerve cells, when you stimulate the neuron, it grows what's called a dendrite, which is like a branch chain projection that other neurons communicate with. And when you're a child, you're growing so many dendrites that your brain actually has to start pruning them because there's so many. And the reason is you're growing so many because when you're a child, what's new? Everything. So every time you hear something, you smell something, you see something, you touch something, or you think, your body's like the 4th of July growing these dendrites. Here's the big question. When you're 40, what's new? That's the problem. Same friends, same TV shows, same way you drive to work, right? Especially here, you got one road, right? So, it's not very stimulating. So you have to do things that stimulate your brain in unique and unusual ways. So if I say to Thomas, how do you spell your name?
Thomas.
Yeah. Now can you spell your name backwards? Good. So that's what we want. That's the dendrites growing right there. It's this. A-Z. Wait, is it? That's what we want. It's like when we were doing the balance and you went like this, that's the growth. If you just went like this, I'm not helping you. It's when you go like that, I'm helping you. And it's the same thing here. So when you stimulate your brain and you have to think, your brain's growing. But when you drive to work every day the same way, no growth. You watch the same TV show, so you don't have to, there's no new characters, nothing. Same music, nothing, no stimulation. But to that child, they haven't smelled an orange before, or a lemon, or a kiwi, stimulation. They haven't heard a symphony, they haven't heard a banjo, whoa, stimulation. So if you want your brain to be healthy, you have to constantly stimulate it in unique and unusual ways. And one of the best things that you can do is every day start using your opposite hand. Now, you can use it to click the remote control, to open a door, to use on your iPhone. If you're using your phone, start using your opposite hand a little bit. But just get in the habit of using your opposite hand. Don't use it to carry hot liquids or with a knife or something to cut food with where you can get hurt, you know. But use it in simple things. And one of the things I did in geriatrics, as soon as my group would come in for the day, I'd have paper and pencil out and I said, everybody, I need you to write your name for me 10 times with your opposite hand. And then that would be the first exercise they would do, and then we would do all these brain exercises. And then I'd say, gang, listen, when you go home tonight, I want you to remember your homework for the week. Until I'm here next time, 10 times with your opposite hand. And it was some of these poor seniors couldn't, I'm not kidding, could not even grab the pencil with their opposite hand. So it's really very stimulating to their brain for anybody to use your opposite hand, okay? The other thing is, anybody here do crossword puzzles? Okay, no, okay? So you'd want to be starting to do crossword puzzles. Anybody do Sudoku? So the people who do Sudoku, you need to do crossword puzzles. If there was people doing crossword puzzles, you know, we want to switch it. You don't want to get used to doing the same thing over and over again, okay? Make sense? Let's try a quick brain exercise. Let's see how good you guys are. We'll start with the alphabet. And out loud, we're going to pick either a fruit or vegetable that begins with every letter of the alphabet. So what do you got for A? Go. B. C. D. Dates. E. F. Good. Fig. Very good. G. H. Honeydew. Man, you're smart. I. That's it. Iceberg lettuce. J. Who's got it? You got J? Good. Jicama. And who said jackfruit? Good. Very good. K. Oh, he's ahead. Look at Thomas is so excited he couldn't wait. K. Kiwi, kale, L, M, and I know you're not going to get N. Prove me wrong. N.
Nectarine.
You got it. That's the hardest one. No one gets it. O. Nectarines. Everyone forgets nectarines. O. Oranges. P. Q. Who is this? She's a ringer. R. What was it? What? Oh, raspberries, yeah. S. T. Oh, I'm sorry. What do we say? Q, R, S, yeah. S. Strawberries. T. U. Oh, please don't get it so we can finally not. Ulu? Oh, wow. I was thinking of ugly fruit. UGLI. Good for you. You're smart. V. A type of orange or a type of onion? Good. A type of onion? What was it? Vidalia. Very good. V, W? Watermelon. Oh. Anybody got X? I don't have an X. There's a Chinese one, but I don't know any in our language. Y? What? Oh, for a fruit? That's interesting. A sugar, interesting. Yams or what else? Let's think of another Y. Yeah, yellow. Who said that? Good for you. Yucca. And then Z. Good. So yeah. So see, it's little mental minutes that you throw these in throughout the day that stimulate the brain. Because what we did is you would have been going to sleep tonight and there was no brain stimulation other than listening to me is fine. But here's forcing you to have to really think. And Thomas, you did it perfectly. When you start spelling your name backwards and you stop, that's what we want. You want you to stop and think. If you could do it really easy, then I'd say, okay, how do you spell Washington backwards, right? And then, you know what I mean? So no matter what, when it becomes too easy, I have to make it challenging.
So you just stimulated our brain so you can take it another hour.
Oh, well, that's...
Now we're awake.
You speak 4 languages? Oh, foreign language. Oh, yeah, you're right, absolutely. Foreign language, music, all that stuff. But the point that I'm trying to make is when I started these programs in retirement homes 25 years ago, and I'm not exaggerating, here's what I saw. Banjo Joe. That's it. They had a guy come in and play banjo. And maybe they played bingo. That was all they had. So I created an entire curriculum to stimulate these seniors not only physically but mentally. And people were flourishing. And that's what needs to happen, because the most dangerous thing is when you retire your body and then you retire your brain. Everything's downhill. Because to be honest with you, most people, as they get older, the blinders get tighter and tighter and tighter as you get older. They don't open up. So they're less and less inclined to stimulate their brain. So you want to do everything you can to stimulate your brain. Now, one quick thing, and then we'll move on. By the way, I'm just getting warmed up, but we don't have a lot of time. So one of the biggest detriments to brain health is stress. And the reason is because every time you're stressed, there's just a cascade of chemicals that are released, especially things like destructive chemicals like cortisol and adrenaline. And there is an area of your brain called the hippocampus that's responsible for memory and learning. And if you look at people who have been post-traumatic stress disorder, a lot of people, soldiers and law enforcement, that are just inundated with stress, that hippocampus is actually shrunk. And so their brain's not working as well. Now, the truth is that as soon as your alarm clock goes off in the morning, that's a cortisol dump. Not here on your island, but as soon as you're driving in the real world, cortisol dump. Because here you have one road, right? So, but I'm saying people in the well, I know. Today I got stuck in Hanalei for a half hour. Literally, the car didn't move for a half hour because there was something going on up there. But in the real world, you've got people cutting you off. You've got all these stress just driving. Now, you just woke up, it's stress. You look at the newspaper, it's stress. You listen to the news, you listen to stuff, it's stress. It's dumping stress all day long. And you didn't even get to work yet. That's when the stress really begins, right? So the point is that this stress response, this fight, flight, or freeze, was designed prehistorically for, a saber-toothed tiger chasing us. We get this adrenaline dump to save our life, but it was never designed to happen every couple hours throughout the day. And when it does happen, it actually destroys our body because it releases endocrine, hormones are being released. They're destructive. So you need to do everything you can to dissipate stress. Obviously, avoid it if you can, but exercise, meditation, mindfulness, sensory deprivation where you just close your eyes throughout the day for 4 or 5 minutes, earplugs in because sound is a stress, visual lights like fluorescent lights can be a stress. So you want to start having little time throughout the day where you can buffer some of that stress. Okay, it's very, very important because a little bit throughout the day, it will help you, even if you just do a little bit at a time. It's like when you wake up in the morning and you roll on that tennis ball. That really helps release some of the tension in the fascia, and it's the same thing you can do at night. Using essential oils works very well. I've been using essential oils for 25 years. I use them with all my clients. Post-traumatic stress disorder, people have high tension and are just always on edge. Essential oils work great. There's an olfactory nerve that's in your nose that leads to your brain. As soon as you smell an essential oil, you immediately affect the brain. I would be with senior citizens at retirement homes, and if you would let a senior smell a crayon, a piece of chalk, or apple pie spice, and the senior was 70, you can take them back to when they were 8. Oh, yeah, apple pie. I remember my mom used to make that in the kitchen when I was little. Now, remember, this person didn't remember what they had for breakfast, right? So, no, I mean, this is serious. It's not funny. It's serious. What I'm saying is they didn't remember what they had for breakfast. Now we give them some apple pie spice, and they're talking to me about what happened when they were 6. And then I say to them, what was your mom wearing when she used to always cook? Oh, my mom wore the most beautiful little apron with a rose on it. Really? She had a rose? Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're taking them back in time because all we did is invoke a memory with a scent. That's how powerful it is. So scents are very powerful. People don't realize how important scents are. Okay? Make sense? Yep. Scents, make sense?
What essential oils do you use?
I have them on my site, thelivingwithharmony.org. You click and by the way, just so you know, I tell you, what I'm doing is I have animals in a townhouse, 17 animals. I'm trying to get a property to run retreats and have a sanctuary. So I'm trying to do funding. Now, we don't sell any products on our site, but what I've done is I've taken the products that I use and recommend, and when you click on them, it goes to the company, and then if you order it, they say, hey, you ordered from John Pierre's site, we're going to give John Pierre's Animal Sanctuary whatever, 50 cents. So we don't sell them, we have what's called an affiliate link. And also, if you are ever, do they have Amazon here? Okay, there's something called Amazon Smiles. Yeah, well, I know sometimes I think, well, okay, but if you have Amazon Smiles is, I don't know if you guys know this, but if you can pick the charity of your choice, and they donate a percentage, so everybody should pick a charity. You don't have to pick mine.
Donating like 5% instead of 0.5% for the holidays.
Oh, okay, well,
Much higher.
well, remember, we're called Living with Harmony, that's ours, and we're in Boulder, so just write that down and remember it. But anyways, let's move on now, because I know we're running out of time, but I want to talk about the most important topic, and I want to leave time for it. So this is all fun. It's great to talk about all these different topics, and I enjoy them, but the core of what I teach is a term called ahimsa, which is a Sanskrit term meaning compassion or reverence for all beings. And when I started all this in high school, this is kind of when it all started, I became vegan, not for me, I became vegan for the animals. Because once I found out that that hamburger that I was eating, that was once a cow? Wait, the hamburger that I was eating was a cow, are you telling me? I couldn't believe it. Those chicken McNuggets or whatever, those were from you mean the chicken running around? I couldn't believe it. So immediately, that was the end of it. Once I found out, you mean in order to get dairy products, a cow has to be assaulted, so she produces milk? I'm never buying it again. Because I wanted to live as gently, as kindly as I could. So I didn't want to have anything to do with that. And what I want you to understand is, as I always say to people, we have more than enough violence in the world. We have more than enough of the H word, hatred. We have the anger. We have jealousy. We have rage. We have all these very, very, very toxic emotions that will destroy and kill people faster than anything else, faster than pollution in the air, in the water, anywhere, because they're self-destructive, and they're like a virus then. They leave you and they go on to others. Yeah. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can tear your heart apart. So be very conscientious of the words that you use. That's why when I said H-A-T-E, I say the H word. I don't want to say it. It's not a word that I want to say. I don't want that part of me, right? Just like K-I-L-L. What I found out with clients all the years I was working with them, people would come in and they'd say the H word. They'd say, I H this, I H that. And I thought, isn't this interesting? I never use that word. And I don't have that emotion. And I want you to remember, when you squeeze an orange, does mango juice come out? No. Does watermelon juice come out? What comes out? Orange juice out of an orange. And the reason why orange juice comes out of an orange is because, well, that's what's in it. So when your vocabulary is full of anger and hatred or jealousy and rage, no offense, but that's just what you have inside of you. So when you hear that, you should go, oh gosh, oh golly, wait, did I just say the H word? That's not part of me. So change your vocabulary. Be conscientious of the words that you're using, because those are vibrating inside of you. But also, be careful of the words you're letting come in here. Because the brain is like a fertile garden. You plant weeds, they grow. And then all of a sudden they're growing and you feed them, right? And they grow more. So you have to be careful of not only what you say, but you have to be careful of what you're, and this is important, you're allowing, you're permitting into you. And every time you open a magazine, you're permitting those energies to come into you. Every time you listen to or watch the TV, you're permitting that to come into you. I taught at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. for about 150 congressional people there. And I was talking about the link between lifestyle and violence with children. And I want you to think about this, because this is what I told them. I said, you have children today that are 12 that have baby teeth and are waiting for Santa to come. And they also watch XXX pornography. 12 years old, carry a baby blanket almost. They're watching XXX. I'm not talking pornography, I'm talking violent pornography. Listening to gangster rap, which is audio pornography. Playing video games, and I'm sure you don't know this, I hope you don't, where you shoot police officers, you run over animals, and this is the hardest one to believe, and a client told me about it, so I had to go look online. But there's actually video games where people are driving a car, they beep the horn, prostitute comes out. Simulated sex in the car, pay the prostitute takes the money, guy stands out of the car, pulls out a gun, shoots her, takes the money back. Video game, keyword game. Now if you couple all that with a nutrient-deficient diet, are you surprised that there's problems with children today? Remember we talked about nutrients, you're missing one nutrient, something's not working here. It's like the combination of the lock. This is the perfect storm for all this. So yes, we need to be very careful about what we're allowing into our brain and what we're constantly programming ourselves. You're programming, okay? A lot of these children who have been in the schools and have shot have never picked up a gun in their life. But they've shot kids very accurately because of video games that they've played. These video games were designed for, originally they were designed for the military to teach people how to shoot, and very quickly. And so they wouldn't hesitate when they shoot. So now you take such, if you've seen video games, how realistic they are today, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So we need to start thinking about how from the minute you wake up here to the minute you go to bed, where is all this programming taking place? Who's programming you? What are you allowing to be programmed into your fertile garden? And the one thing you should be thinking about is how are we programming our youth today? Because a lot of parents that would come into my office would be buying their children video games, and if you ask them, have you ever seen the video game? No. You've never seen the video game? Did you know there's secret chambers in the video games that no one talks about? No, I didn't know that. Well, maybe you should YouTube it and see, because that's what I had to do. I had a boy come in the office, 6 psychologists, I think it was 9 psychiatrists, every medication known under the sun for attention deficit, hyperactivity, and violence, nothing worked. They brought him to me. Well, before that, they gave him experimental meds and nothing worked. They bring him to me. I change his diet, give him brain supplements, DHA and B12, plant-based diet, no video games, no gangster rap music, and lo and behold, boom, the child pops back to normal. Nobody can believe it. His mother said people are running up to her in school and everywhere she goes, how did this happen? What medication is he on? We changed his lifestyle. And the child said to me, he wasn't really a child, he was young, I mean a younger adult. He said, you know, JP, he goes, when I don't take those supplements, I feel a difference in my brain. When I don't play the video games, when I'm not playing them, I feel calmer. I'm not as excited. These are things that if you have the wrong constitution or the wrong makeup, they overstimulate your brain. You can't calm down. So does it mean every time a child plays a video game, they're going to go hurt somebody? No. But it's still not a positive thing to play a game where you're shooting somebody or running over an animal. So I just want you to start keeping that in mind. And what you need to do is when you meet people, make sure that your words are loving, they're inspiring, they're kind, because I don't know when I meet you, when will I see you again? I don't know. So I want to make sure that when you leave your interaction with me, it was positive, that I planted a seed. And the meaner somebody is to you, that's the red flag you want to know, the kinder you have to be. Because if somebody presents to you with heart disease and diabetes, you're not going to give them saturated fat and cholesterol and tobacco and alcohol because that's what causes it, right? So when somebody's mean to you, you're not going to be mean back because that's what caused them to be that. It was abuse. They had some problem. So the antidote, which I talk about in my book called The Universal Antidote, is love and kindness. You've got to give that person love and kindness because that's going to ultimately help them and set them free. And it takes time, though. It doesn't happen overnight all the time, but it takes time. So start thinking about what are the words that everybody in here uses. Start being conscious of your words. What do I say all the time? If you ever use the H word, oh, whoop, whoop, whoop. Did I say the H word? Cancel, cancel, cancel. I didn't mean that. Be conscious of it, okay? Realize that when that orange is squeezed, the juice comes out. So you were squeezed, you used the H word. Is that really who you want? Do you want that energy inside of you? So start thinking about that. Then start doing a media fast. Start staying away from media. Pick one, whether it's radio or magazines or the news, but stay away from one at least piece of media so you don't start getting brainwashed with negativity all the time, right? And then the other thing is, what I used to do when I was a kid before I'd go to bed is I would list all the positive things that I did for the day. So I'd kind of put bullet points. What did I did? Well, like I'm from Chicago, so we had, obviously big snowstorms, and I knew where all the senior citizens lived. So I would go there and I would shovel their walk for free. And I would knock on their door and I'd say, hey, I shoveled your walk. Did you want any salt on there? Do you have any salt? And they were like, what? What's going on? What do you mean you shoveled my walk? And I said, do you want any salt? And they, yeah, okay, here's some salt. And I'd say, you have a good day. And they'd say, hey, wait, I'm going to pay you. I said, no, you don't need to pay me. So I would always write, and that's what I did. I was proud of that. I said, yeah, I helped somebody. I'd bullet point those. Then I'd ask the most important thing. I'd say, what good can I do tomorrow? So I was always programming myself. I was validating the good I did. And then I was asking myself, well, what good am I going to do tomorrow? Because tomorrow's coming. I got to do some good too. So I was constantly programming myself to do good. And Mother Teresa said something. She said, the smallest deed done is far greater than the largest intention. And I want you to remember that. It doesn't matter how small it is. Like when I'm walking out and I see just a little plastic cap outside when I'm out there, I pick it up or recycle it. Doesn't matter. A little piece of paper, little thing. When I go to my hotels, well, I'm not at a hotel here, but when I was just at my other hotel, I take all the sheets off my bed. I take the pillowcases off. I clean the bathroom. I make it so it looks so neat that when the housekeeper comes in, I want them to go, is somebody working on cleaning this room? I mean, did somebody already clean this? What's going on? That's a little small deed I can do, right? One quick story. I remember I was in LA and I went to a yoga studio. And all these people were wearing these white robes. I've never seen anything like it. And it was like they're walking like they were floating, like chanting. And I thought, this is amazing. This is interesting. Until I went into the restroom. It looked like a hurricane had hit. Water all over the sink, paper towels, garbage on the floor. And I went and I picked everything up. I cleaned that entire place up. And I said it out loud. Nobody heard me. But when I closed the bathroom door, I said, that, my friends, is yoga. Because yoga is more than just the postures and going om, right? It's about discipline. It's about love, right? It's about compassion. So always remember that. My motto on my business card is think good thoughts and do good deeds. So start trying to think all the good thoughts that you can because they're energy, and do good deeds because that's what gets things going. That little good deed is like a little pebble that's falling on the top of a mountain, and it affects another pebble and then another pebble, and before you know, you have this beautiful, it's not beautiful, but it's a powerful avalanche, right? But I'm just saying it just takes one little tiny thing to get things rolling. So start thinking in terms of that. Where in your day can you start adding good, right? Whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. Well, one of the things that I do is I call companies all the time and I email them. If they do something good, I commend them. If they do something that I don't think is good, like there was once a cosmetic company, and on the back of a vegan magazine, there was a picture of an Asian lady in this bamboo forest, and she was topless. And her chest was pressed against these bamboo poles. And I wrote, it was a cosmetic company. I wrote the owner actually. And I said, I find this very offensive that this is taking place. I mean, kids look at this as a normal, healthy magazine. I find this really offensive. Now, when I was writing it, I didn't know if anyone was going to write. I didn't care because I was trying to do something good. The owner wrote me back. He said, we're pulling the ad. Now, maybe other people wrote. I hope they did. But the point is I at least took action on it. I didn't just watch. Just like I told you today, I was at the beach, and I saw a plastic bag go into the water. And I was getting ready to get up, and then all of a sudden, 2 people went and did it. But the point is, you got to take action on these things. You just can't watch bad things happen. Because the only thing worse than evil is watching evil take place and doing nothing. So you have to take action on these things. So just to review quickly, we're going to get smoothies in our diet. We're going to get blended soups. One or the other or both would be ideal. We want a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. We want to get legumes in our diet, maybe some nuts and seeds. If you eat grains, that's fine. Just get a wide variety of plant-based foods, okay? Try to eat in a controlled, relaxed manner if possible. If you're drinking the smoothie and you're able to drink it slow, it's far better. Of course, if you can eat the food in a slow manner, that's great too, but that's not always realistic. Get movement in your diet. In your lifestyle. It doesn't matter if you get a half hour in the morning. That's great, but I still need you to move throughout the day. You've got to move throughout the day, okay? Sneak movement in. Make sure you're working some endurance, so 15 to 20 minutes for your heart, some sort of strength training, some sort of balance training, right? Maybe some stretching or some foam rolling. Very, very important, okay? Make sure you're working your brain in unique and unusual ways. Don't do the same thing all the time. Start, if you can. Well, here you can't maybe take a different route, but you can, you know what I mean? You can do different puzzles, different games. You can talk to different people. You can use your opposite hand, which would be ideal. And then the last thing, most importantly, that universal antidote of love and compassion. Make sure that you're always this beacon of light and love, because when you're this beacon of light and love and you take your candle and you light somebody's candle that isn't lit, then what are you most likely going to do when your candle's lit? You're going to go light somebody else's candle. And that's how you change the world. But if I do something that's mean to you, you're going to be in a bad mood, and you're more likely going to be mean to somebody else, right? It's like a virus, right? That anger and the hostility gets to one person, and they get angry and hostile to another person, and it just starts binging around. So instead, turn it into something good by let that loving kindness energy go everywhere. Does that make sense? Yes. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so grateful. Awesome. Okay. Thank you. And I do have some business cards if you want my business card that has my websites on it. And I also do phone consults, and I do work. And the truth is, I came out here just like all these islands. We don't get paid to do this. You notice I didn't bring anything to sell. I could have brought books. I try not to make this any sort of sale. I do this because I want to do it. The only thing that I ask is please take a look at my site, livingwithharmony.org, because we do a lot of good work. And we do need support, because I have 17 animals, and we're trying to get a property. So we're trying to find somebody that can anybody helps us, but especially if somebody can help us on a bigger level. Any way we can do it, we need it, because we're trying to get a retreat center so I can do classes like this every single day throughout the year.
Cool. I have a quick question. Was this talk the same as you did in Maui and in Oahu, or
I just start talking.
you just start
I
talking?
have no idea what I'll say.
So,
I have no idea.
So what's
All
the
I know
problem?
is that you wanted me to talk about my book.
Yep.
So I just covered a little bit on the book, but
Okay.
I don't. Yeah.
well, I'm so glad that it was filmed. I thank Robert for filming it, because I was thinking,
Thank you.
man, I should take notes, and I thought, no, it's all going to be filmed and I can watch it. So that's what's really cool, is we can,
Yeah.
there's so much information here, and we need to get his book, we need to, watch the video over and over, and because it's probably not the exact same talk,
Oh, yeah.
this was done about a week ago in Oahu, about 5 days ago. He spoke there, and that one will be up shortly, and it's probably going to be a little different. So you can watch
Yeah.
that one on the vsh.org media section, and you'll just look for the video, which was last Tuesday, which I don't remember the date.
And I also was on the radio show in Maui.
Oh, he was on the radio
So
show.
what that radio show, I don't recall the name of it, like Off the Beat or something, but it seemed that radio show went really well, because the host and everything was asking really good questions and stuff. So we talked a little bit about the brain, and we talked about video games and stuff. So I think if you write, it should be on their website, the main website.
Yeah,
They-
vsh.org.
Yeah, I think it was called Bobby Best or Billy Best, something
Okay,
like
cool. Well, I really believe he encompassed the whole package, of body, mind, spirit, mental health, compassion, and really the essence of what it means to be a vegetarian. It's not just one-dimensional. So I was really blessed by the talk, and I really thank you for taking your time and coming and having a special meeting here. And the best thing about it, I think, is that he's actually only 2 hours from where I'm going to be moving. So, so I think I'll be seeing John Pierre again.
that. Well, and he's got like 1,000 acres.
Yeah, as I told him, I said, we
I was
got
like,
some for
hey,
sale.
you got
We got
1,000
some
acres.
for sale, right on the highway, right in a perfect position, for his sanctuary, but he wants it already turnkey.
Well, ideally, we're looking for a property that has a barn and a house and then land, because we have a team ready to go. We got vegan vets, vegan vet techs. We've got some of the top vegan doctors in the world and vegan chefs that all want to be part of it. All we're missing is the property.
Well, I need to talk to you more, because there's still some options, which I'll talk to you later about, but you're going to be here a couple more days, right?
Yeah, I'm here till Wednesday, and make sure you guys get my cards, because I want everyone to get that.
What state are you moving to?
Oh, I live in Boulder, Colorado, but
I'm moving to Colorado, but in a town called Elizabeth, which is where I grew up. It's a big ranch that I've inherited. So basically, we're about 2 hours from Boulder, maybe an hour and a half at the most.
I mean, we're willing to go. And if somebody donated property in Oregon or something and was ready to go, we'd go there. We're just trying to do it near Boulder, because that's kind of where we already are.
Yeah, it's a big health mecca, and it's a good location. But we're really blessed. I'm excited for all the things that he's doing, and he really challenges us, doesn't he, to become the people that we are intended to be. And that involves taking action when we see things that need to be done, because if we don't do it, it may not happen.
Well, and you guys are doing a great job just that on Kauai you're having this organization here, and there you have a great crowd. This is wonderful that people came out.
Especially on a Sunday night.
Yeah,
and,
it's wonderful.
So thank you.
Oh,
Thank you
yeah.
very much. So yeah, if you need to talk to him,
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I'll leave my cards up here.
Time.
And I'll get some more up here. Thank you.
Yeah, and if we could,